Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty.
Government is also capable of engineering disaster on the local front too. And oh my gosh, as we recently saw in Texas, in Uvalde, Texas, during the school shooting, what didn't the government do wrong? I mean, they talk about the government's hands being the right hands for safety and everything. And this is just so unbelievable that not only did the government allow the shooter to stay in there and murder kids for close to an hour or longer than need be, than from when there were cops on the scenes with guns. They literally tried to, they stopped parents. They handcuffed and tased parents to keep them from going in to do the job that the police weren't doing. And, I do have one little pushback against the common narrative out there. A lot of people have been labeling these police officers as just flat out cowards. And it's possible that there is some of that, but that there is a systemic failure that a lot of people don't appreciate with government here. When you have a unit that's trained to do things in a certain way, and if you don't just go off and break protocol on your own, right? I mean, if you're there and your commander's there and your commander is telling you, hey, we're waiting for something else, you don't just rush off if you're part of a unit and say, I'm Rambo or Superman or whatever. So this is one of those things where I think that, maybe some of these police are getting an unfair brush, but certainly as a whole, the police department there absolutely failed, and the local government there absolutely failed in protecting these kids. What do you guys think of this? This is just a catastrophe of unparalleled catastrophe of protecting.
Well, I would just like to point out to my liberal friends that they want me to give up my access to AR-15s so that these bozos can protect me. That's what they want. It's essentially what they want, because these bozos are the ones that would only be the ones that had AR-15s if they got their way. And it's just it's just such a slippery slope, and it's already begun. They're trying to ban AR. The nomenclature that these nincompoops think up regarding the firearms. But wait until somebody just gets a 12 gauge pump shotgun from his dad, takes a hacksaw, saws off the lengthy barrel a little bit shorter, and then goes into a school and blasts people with double-aught buckshot. You think this is bad? They ain't seen nothing yet, because these people are just so AR centric. These whack jobs. But what? Wait till somebody figures out that, hey, especially if they got rid of the 20 million ARs in private hands, and they actually achieved their utopia of, they're not killing them with ARs. Oh, I'm so happy. Now they're killing them with 12 gauge, with buckshot. And they'll really kill them dead too, by the way. You think the AR was bad? You're going to be out of the frying pan into the fire. And then what are they going to do? Oh, well, we got to get rid of those horrible shotguns now and everything. It's just a slippery slope. All this stuff is nonsense. You take away, evil people exist, and a lot more evil people seem to exist today than ever did when I was a kid. And so they're going to find a way, which has been done time after time throughout history, including the very first school massacre, which was done by one of the classmates, burned the whole class down, killed the teachers and all these kids, a whole bunch of them, except he's the only survivor. And he did it with fire. And that's happened throughout the world. They kill mass amounts of people just with fire and bombs, and then there's trucks. What better way to do it if you want to kill a bunch of people? Use a bomb. And then they take trucks, and they're still doing it. Just the other weekend, Memorial Day weekend, they mowed down some people and killed them with cars. So where there's an evil will, there's an evil way. And all these liberals are so myopic I've never seen such myopia in my life. They just focus on the implement. I'm going to give a Tinker's Dam, which, by the way, is a dam that's very worthless, made by a tin working person called a tinker. And the Tinker's Dam was used to dam the molten silver solder that they were using. Okay, and then you'd throw it away. So it's not worth a Tinker's Dam. It's spelled D-A-M, like the dam of a water, that dams water, not a D-A-M-N, like damned to hell or such. Okay, just a little English side lesson there for you nincompoops. Anyway.
Well, Leon,
hopefully
you got
nincompoops don't listen to our show.
Yeah, well, normally I am pro police. Okay, I think I've said that on the show many times. I do. Whenever there's misconduct, I do want the police officer prosecuted, but I'm normally in general pro law enforcement. But this particular incident, Jason, was a catastrophe. This is why I'm going to disagree with even your pushback. Okay, I really am going to disagree with it. Because you said they had to follow protocol and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. That's true. Okay, you're right. Must have command and control when you have law enforcement and the military. You must have those things. However, police officers are trained to act in cases of emergency. And you cannot tell me that a kid with a gun inside a school where there are little kids in there, that is not an emergency. Then there's nothing is an emergency. Those police officers had a duty to act. They might have to risk their life. I would grant you that, but that's what we pay them for. I don't want to be cruel. I don't want to be crude. I don't want to be without a heart. But they are paid to take risk on the road or at a school. So these people fail at every level, at every damn level. And I hope some of them are prosecuted for it, because I think more kids died in that thing than they had to. Okay, because if these police officers act, even with the risk of their life, I sure we probably could have saved some of the kids. They would not have saved all of them, but they could have saved some of those kids. So this is a catastrophe, and I hope some of these police officers are prosecuted for their misconduct in this particular thing.
Their dereliction of duty.
Dereliction of duty. Thank you.
Well, I absolutely.
So I mean, what's the police officer got to lose, if he goes in there and actually, disobeys his commanding officer? Hey, you stay back here. Fuck you. I'm going.
Oh, gee.
Okay, that's being stricken from the record. And I'm going in. I don't care what you say. I mean, what are they going to do with him afterwards? Prosecute him? Look, these guys, for doing nothing and killing kids, are not going to get not touched in the least. They won't even lose their job. They won't even be, they won't have so much as a $10 fine. They will get away scot-free. And that's always how
you're wrong, Tim. Maybe you're right.
I'm
but I hope you're
right.
Wrong.
I hate to say it, but I am going to be right. You just watch.
Well, somebody's head may roll at the top, but I seriously doubt anybody's head will roll near the bottom. But this is the problem, though, right? I mean, once you have, I think a lot of people that they see, government protecting them as somehow personal. The problem is it's extraordinarily impersonal, and you have complex multiple units starting to come together to react to a situation. Maybe those first cops should have gone in and done something about it, but once management gets on the scene, I mean, oh my God, at that point, if management is given the wrong signal and if they're trying to coordinate between 3 or 4 different agencies and other things, now suddenly it's all these chefs trying to work the soup, right? And so even if you wanted to go in as a cop, you don't know if you're going into somebody else's line of fire, maybe even or some other part of the operation, because it's not like you necessarily as an individual cop know all of the pieces that are moving around you, so you got to take, your management's direction to some degree that, like you don't know if somebody's setting up something else to come in the other side of that room or anything else. So I just think,
well, I don't know about that. Okay. I really don't know about that, because, there was this very good, nice video about this police officer during the terrorist attack in San Bernardino a couple of years ago. He walked into that, his gun in hand. He walked into that. He told a woman, I think, stuff like that, I'm going to go in there and I will take the bullet before you. He did that on his own. I don't see why any police officer, knowing the emergency situation here, Why he had to wait? I can't see it. I can't.
Greg Ellifritz is a police officer and trainer, firearms trainer. Has been a long time police officer, SWAT guy, and all this. And he writes a blog that I read a lot of his stuff, and I very much respect him. And he's a really good trainer, and he trains civilians and everybody. And I'd love to take a shotgun course from him. But he said for these active shooter things, time is of the essence, and police officers have to be trained to respond fast. You've got to get in and engage them.
Sure.
Yeah, you may get shot, at, whatever, but the time is of the essence. You cannot linger a split second. You're there on scene. You hear the sound of the gunfire. You've got to go in and you got to
act.
Start. You got to act.
Yes.
You may make some mistakes, but at least you acted. You have to act. None of this. This is the problem that we have in today's mentality. It's all top-down central planning. Okay, we got to have the big picture. We can't have the except the Navy SEALs. They're given latitude. Okay, I that's great. And a lot of these forward units have latitude to do things, that whatever they think is necessary. Okay, that's good. I don't know where that came from, but most of the rest of us are all top-down central planners. That's all we want to be. Oh, I want to be told, okay, you go here, oh, you go over there, okay, and then you converge, and you don't come at that angle, you got to come at this angle. That's nonsense. You got to go.
Well, certainly the first couple officers on the scene, that's what should have happened. The problem is once you get a whole structure around you, then at that point, literally, if you had a military that behaved that way, you'd lose every war. You'd never win a war because everybody would be operating outside of coordination.
Okay. It's not a war, though. It's not a war. It's not a coordinated movement of men. It's none of that. It's chaos. It's chaotic, and the shooter is partly. He's got some plan, but of course, he's got all the advantage, but his part of his whole deal is chaotic too. Just doesn't know what he's doing.
I can't see any defense of the actions of the police officer in this case. Okay, where the police officers, I should say, where you're having to wait on management or management form the structure. Remember we talked on the show about this girl who was going to stab this other girl in I think it was in Cleveland or something like that. And so the police officer, he didn't wait for management to tell him, well, maybe you should think about it before you shoot or whatever. He shot the girl.
But Leon, that was a completely different situation. That police officer was there by himself dealing with the situation. He wasn't there with a whole chain of command around him. In that case, it's not up to him just to decide what to do, right? I mean, there's a structure at that point.
I have a sneaky suspicion that there was people there before the chain of command arrived because they were waiting on the chain of command.
There was, and those are the people who should have done something, right? I mean, they were supposed to have training.
You don't have
apparently,
time.
The training was worthless.
Right.
We will never know for sure, Jason, on this. Okay, and we can never settle our discussion here. But I would be willing to bet, and probably God will have to tell us one day. I'd be willing to bet probably about 9 kids died unnecessarily in that incident. Even 19 kids end up dying. I bet you about 9 of them, at least 9 of them died unnecessarily.
Oh, no question, it was unnecessary. I'm just saying, as far as who you're going to blame, I mean, are you going to blame every individual cop who was there, who was listening to their chain of command, or are you going to say it's the chain of command's fault? I mean, clearly it's the chain of command's fault for certain, but certainly some of those first officers probably had training that said they're supposed to go in and deal with that situation right when they get there. But once
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always and forever.